Okay, just to repeat, in the last video, I made a big emphasis about now, not only do you have to be careful that you're saving often, but you also want to make a folder that contains this file that you're working in, a Photoshop document, and also all of the image and any other assets you may as well that you're gathering for your website. Keep them all in this same folder. So when you're working between machines, like going home from school at the end of the day, maybe going to the library the next day, you want to make sure that you have fresh copies of everything, that you've got the latest saves, but that you're not just taking the file with you, that you're taking the whole entire folder because you are about to place images in here. So let's actually do one so you can see what I mean. We're going to go File, and we're going to go to Place. And in this program, you actually have the choice of Place Embedded or Place Linked. Place Embedded can be okay, but it adds that file size to it. So in this case, since we want to be free to experiment here and not worry about coming up with a huge file size, so again, carry the folder with you, Place Linked. Now we go out to our folder, we go to Portfolio Images, and I have a particular one in mind here because it's a chapter division page that I'm looking for, so let me navigate to that. And you can see here inside of my folder structure, I have my portfolio images, and then I have them further broken down into folders for publications, for posters, for package design. So I'm looking for a publication called Getting the Point, and there it is. I'm going to click on Place now, and it places it, gives me this kind of loaded cursor. Notice it has the anchor handles on it, so I could blow it up. Now, you have to keep in mind we're working at 2x here, so if this comes in really small, kind of like this one is, then we might want to go back to our files and see if we have a bigger version of it, because if I stretch this out now, I realize that my image is going to be small on the website, and if I don't have enough pixel dimensions there, it could look pixelated. On the opposite side, let's say that it came in and it was really big like this, that's always a good problem to have, because we know that, okay, we've got plenty. The only thing that we might want to be cautious about when it's too big is that maybe after we finally figure out how big everything's going to be on our website, we may want to edit them in Photoshop before we bring them in. And actually this platform is perfect for doing that. So I'm just going to escape here to go back and then put it in at the original size. Actually, I went to a different file that I had restructured my folders and found a bigger version of this. So now the text is competing here, so I just need to get in there and work with this. And maybe I like that idea for my portfolio images. And these little things here that are showing up are smart guides, and they can kind of help you with your alignments that we've been talking about. So it let me know that it was aligned to the top there. It'll look for other alignments like aligning to the right edge there and so on. If you like those, fine. If you don't like them, you can turn them off. And let me just show you here up in View, you have this option to turn off every extra all at once. Kind of a neat feature. So not only now would my smart guides go away, but also you notice that the names of the artboards went away. So I'll go back up to View. I'll turn Extras on. I'll go back up to the View menu again, and then I'll go right below Extras into Show, and I'll choose what I want to show. If I don't want to see the smart guides temporarily, I'll just unclick it there, and they're gone. But I still have this. So it's kind of like a little compact way of setting up some extra things to show, and then being able to turn them off all at once with one simple command, Command H for, and if you just remember, Command H means hide. But I kind of like the smart guides being on there, and as you can see, now they're back. So now, just because this works for one portfolio piece doesn't mean it's going to work for all of them, right? So what you kind of have to do, and it'll take you a while to get there, is you're going to eventually have to come up with an area that you say every image that I use is going to be no taller than, let's say, this. So if it was a poster, it would take up a certain amount of space, like say where my mouse is going around here. And then you have to think, well, what am I going to do with the type if it's over there? Should I maybe, and here's some possibilities, make an area here that's totally black or totally white that always stays black or white, and my images go in there, or my text goes in here? Or do I not mind having the text bounce around as we go between images? Also, did I think about, once I'm in the portfolio, how do I get from one piece to the next? And what I'll do is I'm going to make these, my text and my image a little bit smaller in here, and I'm going to put some arrows alongside, and I'll catch up with you when I'm about to add the arrows. Actually, I should mention to you the way to scale an image that you've got in here is you need to make sure that it's selected either with auto select or over at the layer. And by the way, this is what a layer looks like when it has a linked object on it. And then with that selected, we're going to do Command T to bring out the transform tool. And you want to be careful, that free transform tool will let you unfortunately stretch your work. So I Command Z to get back. Make sure you grab it from the corner, hold down the shift key, make your change, release the mouse, then release the shift key. Then there's no way that you accidentally messed anything up. Okay, so let's say we want to show the idea of a left and right button to move among portfolio pieces. So once again, we can use over here our options for drawing shapes. If we come over here to the custom shape tool, up here in the options bar, we get some choices of shapes. And I'm going to use this little drop down arrow. And if you're not seeing a whole load of shapes like I am, go to this little gear drop down and select all, and it'll show you all the different things that are available. You get this little pop-up if you want to replace that, and you say yes I do, and I want to be able to see everything. So here you have some options for some left and right buttons, and if you don't like these and you say, hey, I don't want to go with something that's that generic that everyone can just find inside of Photoshop, then go ahead and design your own. In fact, you may want to design them here if you're good at making shapes inside of Photoshop, or you may want to go into Illustrator and design them and import them in here. So I will pick one using this method just so you can see the process. So I have the custom shape tool, going up here, gonna select one of these arrow designs. I don't really necessarily care for that circular one because it's so different than the rest of my design, but these are a little on the, actually maybe I'll just use this guy right here. Okay, so I have that selected. Then what I do is I come over here, click somewhere on the canvas. This pops open asking me what size I want it to be. I don't have to worry too much about that. I can just click OK. If I feel like it should be bigger or smaller, I can do Command T and hold down the shift key, grab a corner and make it bigger or smaller. And then notice here when it is, it's asking me to apply the transformation, and I'll just do that one more time so we can see the process. So again, this is still the tool that is selected here. We'll go to shape, see if they have the opposite one in there. If not, we can always make our own. Yeah. Sure they don't, or they do, but let's just grab this. Click over here again. I remembered the size that we did of the last one, then I can Command T. And now notice either before you make that or after you bring it out, that would be the time to change your color if you want to. You just simply go into the fill color, pick your different color, and that's what you'd get. Now I want to Command T again. And then put my cursor right there at the corner where it turns to the double arrow, and then I'm going to click and drag, and I'm going to hold down the Option key so that it kind of sticks and I just want to get exactly at 180 degrees, or in this case it actually goes back to 0. Then I'm going to release the mouse, release the shift key, and there we go. Apply the transformation, and I can use my smart guides to help me. Smart guides are like they say, they're smart, they're not genius, but generally if you wiggle it around a little bit, you'll get it to clue in on the fact that in this case I'm trying to align to the item I have over on the other side. Right, I didn't like the way those looked at all, so I changed the color and the size, and I just have one created. So I'll show you an easier way to create another one. Is I can just click on this to select it, and then click and drag with the Option key held down. That automatically made a copy of it. Then Command T, then get on the corner, hold the Shift key down, and rotate around till I get back to 0, and then apply and place it. We want to be a little bit judgmental along the way, but not so much that we get stuck and not able to continue on. So I'm not sure I really like the way this type is integrating with the image here, but I have about 24 pieces that I want to put in this portfolio. So a smart thing to do right now would be to get my image that's my tallest image and my image that's my longest image, and see how both of those work out and another design here. So what I can do here is just zoom out a little bit, give myself some room, make a copy of this thing. In fact, before I do that, I should probably start labeling this correctly too, since this is not home page 2. So let's call that portfolio 1, and we will create another one and get to work on it. So to see what kind of challenges I was up against, I went and brought the widest portfolio image that I have and the tallest. And you can see each one presents its own little unique challenge with how to fill the space. And in fact, this one becomes tall enough that I would have to go in and increase the size of the artboard. So let's see, let's toggle the eyeball. Yep, that's indeed the right artboard. So if I click on that, again, it's not automatically bringing up the adjustments there, but as soon as I clicked on the artboard tool, they came out. So I would have to make this one, and I'll purposely make it way too big at first and then adjust my items in there. I just switched back to the regular move tool, move this around a little bit in here, grab the footer, started to move it down, and then I realized that I have to fill in some more of the color of my background. So find the background layer, select it, select the color that I was using, and then Option Delete, and then go ahead and move things around, get them the way I want, find the footer content that disappeared, and then when I decide on the size that I like, I just switch back to the artboard tool, coming all the way up, finding the very top of the layer, click in here, and that time it automatically went into artboard mode. But say this was the size I want, then I can just snap that into place against the footer, and it automatically gets rid of the overage. Again, it acts like a clipping mask. I'll show you a scenario here where turning auto select off is very handy. Like right now, I can't find my footer content. If I turn the eyeball on and off, and I remember, well, it's the same exact color as this background. So how am I going to find it making a selection of it? I'm probably not. But if I turn off auto select so that it will only select which layer I have selected, and then I just click and drag anywhere in here and start moving down, it has that in its selection, and you can see when I get just far enough down where I can read it against that back color, I can then start to put it back into place. Just like with all multi-content graphic design work, we've got a challenge ahead of us. We've got different sized pieces of work, slightly different sized text blocks, and we want some type of unity, some cohesion between the pages. This is definitely not working as is. And I'm assuming your design challenges are going to be different than mine. So we'll both do some research, look for some inspiration, come back and share notes. In the meantime, I wanted to mention that if you double click on the hand tool when you're working with artboards in Photoshop, it doesn't work like it does in most of the programs where it zooms you in on one artboard. To do that, you option click on any given artboard in the layers panel. So I'm just simply holding down the Option key, click on the artboard, and that particular